Sonic is a character that has a lot of great transformations in gaming. From the legendary Sonic to a Golden Knight armor, Sonic's many transformations are something that I believe Sonic Team or Sega understands how to do correctly. And in this video I want to give you my 2 cents to explain why that is.
So there was one day where I was doom scrolling on my phone watching some random stuff when I got a clip of the old Sonic X show, which I used to watch a lot as a kid. And it was the infamous scene in the Meta X arc when Sonic sees Cosmo and Tails hurt inside a capsule and gets pretty pissed about it, resulting in him transforming into this dark, cold and unsettling version of himself, which fans referred to as Dark Sonic. And it got me thinking, why hasn't Sega made Dark Sonic official yet? It's iconic, really popular with fans, and it potentially brings out a side of Sonic we haven't seen much before.
Of course, with all things considered, Sonic X is its own thing, completely unrelated to the games. They might adapt some of the game's storylines, but that's mostly it. So you can understand why they wouldn't use something from an original show. And it made me realize, maybe I was kind of getting tired of Super Sonic, since the way they utilize it is very similar. In every game, Super Sonic is a part of the story. You play as Sonic during the whole game, and in the final showdown with the main villain, Sonic goes super, gives an ass whooping, and saves the day. And this predictability can kill a lot of tension that would otherwise make a great development. In some games like Generations, for example, you don't wonder if Sonic is going to go super, you kinda just wait for that cutscene / moment to happen.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not entirely against this. A Super Sonic boss fight during the climax of the story is always hype and a good payoff, but I do think that Super Sonic should be used carefully to not lose that said payoff during high stake moments. For example, in Sonic Frontiers, you get a Super Sonic fight 4 times during your playthrough, and while these fights can be considered by many fans to be very hype and the coolest ever, one could argue that it starts to become a bit stale or repetitive by the time you get to Chaos Island, for example. But to try and prevent this from happening, Sonic Team decided to give Sonic a new super transformation, combining both his super form with the cyber power Sonic gets during Frontiers. And I would say that they were successful in doing so. Majority of the fans loved it, and it was nice to see a transformation beyond Super Sonic. But even though Cyber Super Sonic is probably never going to see the light of day again, I believe this is actually a good thing that the Sonic franchise does very well. You see, when it comes to fictional media where the characters get stronger through transformations, there's always the power creep discussion to be had. In the case of Frontiers, Sonic obtained a new power in the form of Super Sonic 2, which is stronger than normal Super Sonic as far as we can tell, and this raises a few problems, because not only does it make it so Sonic is far stronger than the other characters that can also go super, creating an unbalanced power dynamic, it also makes it so Super Sonic feels a bit lackluster. Let me give you an example. I'm not a big fan of comparing these two medias, but Dragon Ball is a good example of a show that suffers from power creep. Goku has the power to transform into a Super Saiyan, a legendary form that boosts his power level through the roof and puts him above many other characters in that show. But throughout the series, Goku keeps learning more and more forms that make him even stronger, and these newer transformations make the older ones feel weak and pointless by comparison.
Once a stronger form exists, the old ones stop mattering as much, and that's exactly what the Sonic franchise does a good job avoiding.
And at first this was one of my concerns with Sonic getting a new super form in Frontiers, but like I mentioned, Sonic Team does a good job at keeping power creep minimal, I would say. Pretty much all of Sonic's powered up forms throughout the games are a one-time thing, and they're all relevant to the plot, which makes it genuinely interesting. Excalibur Sonic, for example, happens during the world of King Arthur, and the transformation happens when Sonic's morals are put into question. His strong and unwavering spirit leads to Excalibur Sonic and helps Merlina see the wrong of her ways.
You can associate Excalibur Sonic with a test of his morals.
In Sonic and the Secret Rings, when Sonic becomes Darkspine Sonic, he absorbs the world rings of rage, sadness, and hatred. Yet, while those emotions might be fueling him, none of them actually define him. It's still Sonic. He's too strong and does doesn't lose himself.
There's a strong emotional control that only someone like Sonic can withstand.
And during Frontiers, Sonic gets more and more corrupted with cyber energy, yet his efforts and his friends' actions helped bring out the strength to weaponize this energy, and that payoff is Cyber Supersonic.
And what's so great about this is that it doesn't just apply to Sonic himself. In Shadow Generations, Black Doom was slowly giving him these powers to make him the perfect vessel to possess.
But Shadow uses them as his own strength and defeats Black Doom with it.
And as far as we know, this transformation was also a one-time thing, with Shadow not keeping his Doom powers.
Hypersonic is a different situation in my opinion. It's pretty much a way more broken version of Supersonic and exists due to the power of the Super Emeralds, which Sonic Team really doesn't want to bring back. And honestly, even as a big Sonic 3 and Knuckles glazer, I hope it stays that way.
Because first of all, Hypersonic would lead to power creep and make super forms less impressive with time. And second, Hypersonic only really exists as a byproduct of Sonic 3 and Knuckles being two games.
I think there's still so much we could learn about the Chaos Emeralds and their supposed unlimited power and potential that makes me feel like exploring the Super Emeralds might be skipping over some potential lore. And the same goes with Supersonic. I want the super forms to be explored more and truly see the limits of that transformation, if there even are any. Maybe instead of granting Sonic new transformations, add stuff to Supersonic instead.
That's why I think Supersonic 2 was a great idea. It was built upon Supersonic, but it doesn't overstay its welcome.
The new moves you could do in Frontiers looked very cool and nothing like we have seen before.
And that's exactly the kind of stuff that Supersonic needs going forward, in my opinion. Before Frontiers, pretty much all of Supersonic did was just dash really fast towards an enemy to damage it. But now it feels like it actually has an interesting arsenal of moves that can just be expanded more with upcoming releases.
And instead of only giving Sonic, Shadow or Silver super forms, I would also like to see other characters like Knuckles, Amy or Tails get other forms as well. I was never really a fan of the only male hedgehogs can go super rule. If I had to take a guess on why Sega refuses to give other characters any transformations with the power of the Chaos Emeralds, it could be from the fact that they don't want to take away the feeling that Sonic has a stronger, deeper connection with the Emeralds more than any other characters. Since we saw in Adventure 1 how everyone was just confident that Sonic was capable of restoring the Chaos Emeralds back using their real power. And secondly, it's also probably a marketing decision that only the male hedgehogs can go super, due to them being very popular and marketable. Them having a super form just makes them even more appealing. There are exceptions to this, of course, like Blaze the Cat, which uses the Soul Emeralds instead of the Chaos Emeralds, and because she is simply her. At the end of the day, the major risk in utilizing these transformations from a narrative standpoint is that if they aren't used optimally, it faces the risk of becoming too repetitive and with a lackluster outcome. But it's not the case with the Sonic franchise. Every different transformation makes sense from a story standpoint, and anything beyond Supersonic like Cyber Supersonic is not recurring, because the moment Supersonic becomes just another form, it also stops feeling like a worthy payoff, and that's exactly what Sonic Team or Sega avoids. But what about you guys? Do you agree or disagree? Tell me down in the comments below about your opinions. Like if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe while you're at it. We're very close to hitting 2k subs, so I appreciate all the help. Shout out to Xcagegame1 for the YouTube member. Stay tuned for more guys, and see ya later.